Samantha Harper adjusted the hem of her thrifted navy blue dress and stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Her hair, pulled into a simple bun, framed her tired but kind face. She wasn't exactly supposed to be here. Her college roommate, Jenny, had invited her last minute after one of her bridesmaids backed out. Samantha barely knew anyone, and being surrounded by laughter, champagne flutes, and perfect couples only made her feel more isolated. It was a lavish wedding at a vineyard estate in Napa Valley. Outside, string lights twinkled like stars as jazz played softly. She took a deep breath. Just survived tonight, she whispered, pasting on a smile before stepping out into the chaos of celebration. Alone at the farthest table, she sat quietly, watching others dance. Every chair beside her remained empty. No +1, no old friends stopping by. Just her, and a slice of untouched wedding cake. At table 14, Samantha folded, her hands in her lap, glancing occasionally toward the dance floor. She didn't belong to this world of designer heels and black tie charm. Across the garden, Jenny twirled in her custom Vera Wang gown, laughing in the arms of her new husband. Samantha couldn't blame her. Jenny had tried to introduce her to people earlier, but the moment passed. Now she sat like a statue, sipping her third glass of water, willing herself not to cry. As the speeches began, a tall man in a charcoal suit approached her table, carrying a whiskey glass. He paused, checked his seat card, then frowned slightly. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked. Samantha blinked up at him. "It's all yours," she replied, surprised by his warm, steady voice. He smiled and took the seat beside her. Straightening, his cufflinks, the chair creaked under his weight as he turned to face her slightly. "I'm Chase," he said, "friend of the groom." "You, Samantha," she replied, "college roommate of the bride." Chase nodded thoughtfully, his eyes scanning her expression with a kind of curiosity that didn't feel invasive. "You look like you're doing a lot of thinking," he said. Samantha offered a polite smile. "I'm just trying to stay out of everyone's way." Chase chuckled, a soft, rich sound. "You're doing a poor job of it. You caught my eye the moment I walked in." Her eyebrows rose in surprise. "Me?" she asked, looking down at her modest dress. He leaned in slightly, not flirtatious. "Ernest, you're the only one here, not pretending. That's rare." For a moment, the background noise seemed to blur. Samantha tilted her head. "Aren't you one of those millionaires who only hangs out with other millionaires?" she teased gently. Chase smirked. "Yeah, but I also hang out with real people when I get lucky." The awkward silence broke into laughter. For the first time that night, she felt seen. As dinner wrapped up, Chase stayed beside her, asking questions, listening more than talking. He wasn't what she expected, a CEO, in tailored perfection with no need to impress anyone. But instead of bragging, he asked about her tiny bookshop in Portland, how she painted in her spare time, and why she loved poetry. "So you're a dreamer," he said. "More like a realist who reads too many dreams," she replied, grinning. They watched the bride and groom kiss as sparklers lit the night sky. Chase glanced sideways at her, his smile dimming. "Can I tell you something?" She nodded. "I almost didn't come tonight," he said. "Too many fake people, too many expectations. But then I sat here." He didn't need to finish the thought. Her chest tightened. The moment was fragile, beautiful. A song began to play, soft and romantic. "Dance with me," he asked, standing. Her eyes widened. "Me? Only you," he said. Samantha hesitated, her heart pounding, then placed her hand in his. He led her to the dance floor with quiet confidence. As their bodies moved gently to the rhythm, the world fell away. No one pointed. No one cared that her shoes were worn or her dress wasn't designer. Chase held her like she mattered, like she belonged in that moment just as much as anyone else. "You know," he whispered, "people are watching us." She glanced around nervously. "Are they judging?" He smiled. "They're wondering who the lucky girl is that made me smile like this." Her breath caught. "You're really good at this," she whispered. "What? Dancing?" "No," she replied, looking up at him. "Making someone feel important." Chase's gaze softened. "You already are, Sam, you just forgot for a while." And in that slow song, under the shimmer of fairy lights, she forgot too. Forgot her loneliness, her doubt, and remembered who she was. After the dance, they returned to their table, but something had shifted. She felt lighter, as though she'd exhaled years of invisible weight. Chase asked if she'd like to step away from the noise, and she agreed. They walked through the vineyard rows, the cool breeze brushing her shoulders. "You know," she said softly, "this night started out terrible." He glanced at her, and now, she shrugged, half laughing. "Now I'm worried I'm dreaming." Chase reached out and brushed a loose strand of hair from her face. "It's not a dream," he whispered. "It's just something rare to people meeting exactly when they needed each other." They stood in silence, surrounded by vines and moonlight. She could feel her heart thudding in her chest. He didn't kiss her. He didn't need to. The moment spoke more than lips could. It wasn't lust, it was recognition. A tired soul meeting. Another, a story just beginning. Back inside, the bouquet toss was called. Samantha chuckled. "Should I go?" Chase grinned. "Only if you're planning to win." She blushed and stood among the crowd of hopefuls, laughing nervously. When Jenny threw it, the bouquet arched beautifully and landed in some hands. Gasps and cheers erupted. Chase clapped slowly, eyes locked on hers. She returned to their table glowing. That's gotta mean something, he joked. Maybe it means I should go home. Before this becomes a fairy tale, she teased, but as the night wound down and guests trickled out, Chase didn't let her slip away. One last question, he said, dinner next week. She blinked. Like a date. He leaned closer. Like a beginning. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay. Her voice was soft, but her smile was brighter than the chandeliers above them. As they walked out together, two strangers no longer alone. The story of Samantha the forgotten guest had just taken its first beautiful turn. The wedding hall buzzed with music, laughter, and clinking glasses. But Ava sat quietly near the end of the long table, twirling her glass of water. Her light blue dress shimmered softly under the chandeliers, but no one seemed to notice her. She smiled politely at passing guests and avoided eye contact with anyone she thought might ask why she was alone. When the groom's best friend, Mason Langford, the handsome tech millionaire, made his way to the head table, he paused. His sharp eyes scanned the room, and when they locked with hers again, he didn't hesitate. He turned around and walked directly toward Ava, his tailored suit catching everyone's attention. May I join you? He asked with a gentle smile. Her eyes widened, unsure if he was joking. Of course. Mason pulled out the chair beside her and sat down as the whole room seemed to tilt in shock. What's your name? He asked, sincerely curious. Ava's voice trembled a bit. Ava, I am just a +1, sort of. Mason chuckled warmly. You're not just anything. You stood out. The way you waited patiently, so gracefully, while everyone else just performed. His tone made Ava blush. Across the room, heads turned. Some of the bride's friends whispered behind manicured hands. But Mason didn't seem to notice or care. He was locked into the moment with Ava. So what do you do? He asked, leaning in. I'm an art teacher at the local school, she said, instantly a little self-conscious. That's amazing, he said, eyes genuinely lighting up. Bring beauty into lives. That's way more noble than pushing code all day. Ava laughed, the first real laugh all night. Their conversation deepened as the evening carried on. Mason listened as Ava talked about her students, her dream to open an art center for underprivileged kids, and how she almost didn't come to the wedding because she didn't want to be a burden. Mason's gaze didn't waver. You are anything but a burden, he said softly. You're the most interesting person I've met in a long time. Then he did something bold. He asked her to dance. Ava hesitated. Everyone's watching, she said. Let them. He smiled, offering his hand. When they walked onto the floor, the band switched to a slower, sweeter song. And just like that, the shy art teacher and the millionaire tech mogul danced under the warm lights, completely wrapped in each other's world. When the music stopped, guests clapped, not out of formality, but because they'd been moved. Even the bride, Ava's cousin, wiped a tear from her eye. After the wedding, Mason didn't disappear. He texted her the next morning. Then he showed up at her school with lunch, for her and crayons for her students. You talked about your dreams, he said. I want to help you build them. But Ava wasn't interested in money. She told him she wanted to earn it, not receive charity. That made Mason admire her more. Then let's build it together, he said. Months passed, and so did moments. He would help her paint murals with her students on weekends. She'd cook for him after long days. It was never about grand gestures, but deep understanding. One afternoon, Mason took her to an empty old warehouse. Near the park. I bought this, he said. It's for your art center, but I want you to run it. Your way. I'll just be the guy who carries paint buckets. Ava was speechless. She hugged him tightly, her heart overwhelmed. Later, she invited her students and their families to the newly opened Ava Hope Art Center. The opening was a hit. The community showed up. Local media covered it. And right there, Mason stood beside her, proud and quiet. Her hand found his and didn't let go. That night, he knelt under fairy lights and said, You brought light into my life. May I spend the rest of it trying to bring it back to yours? Ava nodded, tears spilling over. They married in a small ceremony 1 year later, not in a grand hall, but in the art center they built together. She wore a simple white dress. He wore a tie her students had painted with bright colors. Ava walked down the aisle alone, not because she was unloved, but because she had found the strength to stand tall on her own. When she reached Mason, he whispered, You were never invisible. You just needed the right eyes to see you. And with that, their new chapter began. Not in silence, not in shadows, but in shared purpose, color, and love.